There are moments in life when believing is not enough. It is a powerful beginning, but it must grow deeper. To truly live in the fullness of faith, you must learn to delight in what you believe. Faith is not a dull acceptance of what is written. It is a living, breathing joy that flows from knowing who God is and what He has done for us. When the enemy wants to weaken you, he will not always attack you with something obvious. He will go after your joy. If he can move your joy from what is right to what is harmful, if he can redirect your heart's delight to something temporary, destructive, or false, then he has already gained ground. That is how he short-circuits the abundant life. The psalm says not to fret because of evildoers, and that is so important. The old translations use the word fret, but the meaning goes much deeper than a casual word of worry. In Hebrew, the word carries the image of glowing, burning, being incensed. At first that might sound beautiful, glowing, but it isn't talking about a peaceful, radiant glow. It speaks of the heat of anger, of jealousy, of a heart that begins to burn with agitation. It is the same way we speak today when we say someone is burning up, with anger or frustration. So the message is clear. Don't let yourself get hot. Don't burn over the wrongdoing around you. Don't get bent out of shape because of what evil people are doing. When you do, you lose your footing. When you lose your peace, you lose your clarity, and trouble is always close behind. Think of how many moments in your journey with God have been hurt not by the size of a problem, but by the way you reacted to it. Maybe you said something that should never have been said. Maybe you fell into temptation more easily because you were already upset. Maybe you hurt someone else, or maybe you hurt yourself, letting negative thoughts take root. Losing your peace costs far more than most people realize. Peace is not just a feeling, it is a shield. It protects you from trouble that you would otherwise create with your own reactions. A gentle word turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up strife. When you let anger and anxiety take control, it reveals a lack of trust in God. Peace is a sign of salvation. If God has made peace with you, then peace should also define your life. If the gospel is about a gift we did not deserve, then how can we live angry? No one receives a gift and reacts with bitterness. If we have received grace, joy, and thanksgiving should flow from us like a river. Another truth follows from this. If you are on the winning side, then live like someone who is on the winning side. People who believe they are losing become negative, anxious, and reactive. But people who know they have already overcome live differently. If you spend your life convinced that evil is stronger than good, your heart will always tremble. But if you know the truth, that in the end God's justice prevails, you can walk in calm confidence even in dark times. Fear, anxiety, and endless frustration are not the marks of a victor. They are the marks of someone who feels defeated. And that is not who you are. So how do you keep from being consumed by evil when it surrounds you? First, by refusing to mirror it. When you react to everything evil throws at you, you become a mirror, reflecting its darkness back into the world. And the more you mirror it, the more it controls you. Second, by remembering that evil is not the final word. When you fret over evil as though it has the last say, you let it shape your faith. You begin to believe it is more real than the promises of God. But whatever you believe is what you will receive, and whatever you receive is what you will give. That is why you cannot love with God's love when your heart is filled with resentment or fear. Two people can stand in the same situation, surrounded by evil, facing the same crisis. One becomes overwhelmed, angry, and bitter, while the other stands in peace. What is the difference? It is not the situation, but the heart. Great saints through the ages have learned this secret. Their peace was not born of easy circumstances. It was born of deep trust. Belief is essential, but just as important as belief is the power to disbelieve. At first, this might sound strange. How can disbelief be good? But it depends on what you choose to disbelieve. Faith means believing in what is unseen, which also means you must disbelieve the lies you can see. When a liar speaks, you cannot believe the truth unless you disbelieve the lie. The enemy is a liar. He will use circumstances, people, emotions, and even your own past mistakes to whisper false messages. You must choose not to believe him. Joshua and Caleb are examples of this. 12 spies entered the promised land. They all saw the same giants and the same land. 10 believed the fear. 2 believed the promise. They not only believed God's word, they disbelieved the power of their enemies. Your life is shaped not by what you see, but by what you believe about what you see. That is why one person can face prison like Paul and still rejoice, while another can live in a palace and feel empty. Do not let the enemy's lies set the story. Your faith must say, I choose to trust the Lord. I will not believe the lie. The psalm continues by reminding us that evil is temporary. It fades like grass. The enemy always works in the short term, quick, reactive, urgent, but God works in the long run. When you live in the short term, everything feels final and frightening, but when you look to the end of the matter, you find hope. In the end, good triumphs. David did not defeat Goliath because the giant was weak. He won because he trusted the promise of God more than the threat he saw. He disbelieved the intimidation. He looked beyond it. Then comes a powerful invitation. Trust in the Lord and do good. The more you trust, the more good flows from your life. When trust fades, good actions shrink. Faith is not just an idea, it's a channel. Through faith, the reality of God enters your life. Salvation comes through faith, and so does every step of abundant living. Paul, in prison, chose to trust. He didn't just say, I believe this is true. He lived it. He rejected fear and embraced praise. He saw not the prison walls, but what lay beyond them. Faith allows you to look through problems, not just at them. And then the psalm says, delight yourself in the Lord. Not just believe, delight. God does not want a cold faith. He wants a living joy. The enemy wants to steal your joy and tie it to sin or distraction. But when your joy is rooted in God, it becomes unshakable. Rejoice in His love, His word, His blessings. Rejoice in the people He has placed in your life. Rejoice in the promises He has spoken. Practicing joy is an act of strength. This is not about pretending to be happy so God will give you what you want. It is about making Him your joy. When He is your delight, the desires of your heart begin to align with His will, and then they are fulfilled. The next call is to commit your way to the Lord. In Hebrew, the word for commit is galal, which means to roll. When you roll something away, it doesn't stay in your hands. It's gone. When you commit to God, you roll the matter to Him. You do not keep reaching to take it back. Trust Him to do what He promised. The psalm doesn't even specify what it is. It simply says He will do it. Whatever it is, if it aligns with His will, He will act. Then comes the promise of light and truth. Your righteousness will shine like the noonday sun. Truth has a way of coming out in the end. That is why the psalm repeats trust and do good. Later, it adds another truth, to depart from evil and do good. You cannot move into what God has prepared if you cling to what He is calling you to leave behind. Just as you cannot stand in two places at once, you cannot live in His promise if your heart remains in what is destructive. If you want to go higher, you must let go of what weighs you down. Departing from sin is not just about leaving something bad, it is about moving toward something far better. Freedom is found not only in saying no, but also in saying yes to what is right. The psalm then urges us to rest in the Lord and wait patiently. Rest is not passive. It is an active posture of trust. In a world obsessed with doing, we must learn to be. Resting in God means taking your eyes off the problem long enough to breathe again. It means stepping away from the noise to remember who He is. A mind that has not learned to rest is a mind that becomes easily shaken. You must train your thoughts to return to Him, to find stillness in His presence. Rest is strength. When you rest, you are not ignoring reality. You are aligning yourself with a higher reality. A little while, the psalm says, and the wicked will be no more. You will look for them, and they will not be found. But the meek shall inherit the land and enjoy peace in abundance. This is a promise not of defeat, but of inheritance. Evil is temporary. The humble are heirs. An heir does not live in fear of being abandoned. An heir knows their inheritance is sure, even if it has not fully arrived. Live like an heir of the kingdom. Do not define yourself by lack. Define yourself by the promise. The psalm also speaks of giving and receiving. Whatever you sow, you reap. If you want love, give love. If you want joy, spread joy. This is not about manipulating outcomes. It is a divine principle. Blessing flows from blessing. The Word of God itself is seed. It will not grow if it remains on a shelf. It must be sown in the soil of your heart and actions. When you hear the Word, do not let it stay in your ears alone. Plant it. Live it, apply it. Even a small seed can produce a harvest when it is sown. It is not the person who hears the most who is blessed. It is the one who applies what they have heard. The psalm continues with a gentle reassurance. The steps of a person are ordered by the Lord. Though they fall, they are not cast down, for He holds their hand. This walk is not about perfection. Every saint has stumbled, but what sets them apart is that they rose again. They trusted the hand that lifted them. Peter fell many times, but he finished the race. Grace is not the absence of falling, it is the strength to rise and continue. Then the psalm speaks of hope and keeping the way of the Lord. The Hebrew word for keep is shamar, which carries the image of hedging with thorns. To keep your way means to guard it, to protect what God has entrusted to you. Your calling, your purity, your mind, your heart, these must be hedged. Not everything is evil, but some things lead you closer to danger. Wisdom builds hedges before danger strikes. If you know where you are weak, you protect that place. If you struggled with drinking, you do not linger in bars. If your thoughts wander, you learn to guard them. It is easier to keep your path than to rebuild it after it's lost. The psalm then speaks of the upright, the yashar. It means straight, without crookedness or hidden motives. Righteousness is simple and clear. Crookedness leads to confusion and chaos. But here is something beautiful. Yashar is also tied to joy in Hebrew. A straight path leads to joy. Those who walk in truth find freedom, even when the road is narrow. It is no accident that Jesus quoted this very psalm when He gave the Beatitudes. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Blessed are those persecuted for righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. All of this flows from the same promise of Psalm 37. God's blessings are not just for eternity, they are for now. Every promise in that psalm belongs to those who trust Him today. This is why we must never let the enemy tell us otherwise. God's will is blessing. He loves His children. He has prepared an abundant life, not defined by wealth or ease, but by joy, peace, righteousness, and purpose. This is a gift, but it requires your response. You must choose to believe God's goodness. You must insist on it when darkness tries to convince you otherwise. You must dwell in it, act on it, and let it shape how you live. So refuse to let your heart burn with fear or resentment over evil. Look to the end of the matter. Trust in the Lord and do good. Delight yourself in Him. Commit your way. Rest in Him. Sow His word. Guard your path. Walk uprightly. Live like an heir of the King. You are not a beggar at the table of the world. You are a child of the King. Your peace is not borrowed from circumstances. It is anchored in eternity. And the wicked, no matter how loud or powerful they seem, will fade like grass. But those who trust in the Lord will endure. They will shine like the noonday sun. Never live as if you are losing when God has already declared your victory. Do not let your joy be stolen by lies. Believe His promises. Disbelieve the lies. And when you walk through dark valleys, walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows the story's end. God is faithful. His promises are sure. His goodness is real. Rest in that. Rejoice in that. Live in that. For that is the abundant life.